I just want to say, our thoughts and prayers are with Coach Rick. I know y'all probably saw that on Twitter that he had a heart attack. I don't know how serious it was. Sounds like he's doing well now. I actually talked to him on Friday while I was on the road for a good long time and had a really good conversation. Guy that means a lot to me and our family. Just want to let him know that we're thinking about him. This week, we've got Fresno State, who I think is one of the better teams in this conference. I've got a lot of respect for Coach Tedford and what he's done there with that program. I've actually watched every one of their games offensively since he's been there, even when we weren't playing them. I think they do an outstanding job on offense with their run game, incorporating it in the pass game, using their tight ends. Always very innovative, did a great job with the quarterback, the grad transfer. I believe he was from Oregon State, and he's doing a good job with his quarterback now, Reyna, number 11. You can see he's improved on a week-to-week basis. They obviously lost some skill from last year, but I think what they do on offense schematically is very sound. They do a great job of putting your defense in tough situations, especially with number 5, Cropper, with the freshman, with some of the speed sweep stuff that they do with him, very similar to what we do with Dante Wright, but just does a good job in the pass game with the smoke and mirrors and the speed sweep, and then having a running game to a tight end side. Very, very impressed with what they've done since he's been there. Defensively, I hadn't watched a lot of them the last couple of years, but we're watching them this year and going back and watching last year. Dominant defense last year. Flew to the ball, aggressive safeties, hard-hitting linebackers. I don't see where they've dropped off in any way. A little bit from experience of guys that are gone. I know they've had some injuries at their right corner position and changed some guys around, but it's an aggressive defense that safeties like to feel. They put pressure on, your run game by not necessarily 7 in the box. Sometimes it's 9, and wanting you to throw outside, but then having a quarters concept when the safety see pass. I think it's a very good football team. We're going on the road. It's a tough place to play. I've only been there once, and I believe we had to have 3 special team touchdowns that night to win, and found a way to win that night, and it wasn't easy, and they weren't rolling like they are now. I know it's, you walk down that hill from your locker room all the way down that hill, and the stadium's kind of in a bowl. They're kind of on top of you. I could see where that could be an intimidating place to play. It was good that we went on the road last week and found a way to win, and, we got a tough test this week on the road against a very good football team.
Mike, when you look at their program and what Jeff Tedford's been able to do, what impresses you the most about just their overall success under him?
I think he's done a great job with the quarterback. He had a first 2 years there with number 4. I can't remember his name. The transfer from Oregon State. I thought he did a nice job. They had a solid running game, a good passing attack, and they did a great job of taking deep shots. And then I thought they were very, very good defensively. I had the coordinator from Canada, and then he left, and then Bert stepped in and did a great job. They did a good job of getting in some guys that first year, blue shirting them before the rule changed, and upgrading their talent. From when he took over to that first year, and came in there with an expectation to win. And Fresno has a lot of history and tradition at that place. They're in a state that has quality football players, and he's done a good job of recruiting that state and getting guys on the team.
You said that last week was going to be really important, just to get some guys healed up mentally and physically. Did you see that take place?
Yeah, I feel good about where we are right now. We had 2 really good practices. They weren't long. They were a little bit more like spring practice. They were around an hour and 45 minutes, and some good work and a lot of individual, a lot of fundamentals. The guys were a little bit banged up. We held out, but it was good to get young guys some work. So I feel really, really good about that. Hopefully, Toby is going to be back this week, and Manny, I feel like, will be back. We did get, a couple guys that were injured, and Nuri his status is a little bit uncertain. Cam got injured in warm-ups of San Diego State and played in the last 2 games, but his status is a little bit uncertain. So I'm not really clear on, what their status will be for the game coming up. But, everybody's a little bit beat up, but the guys that can go, that have played a lot of snaps, were able to get some rest and do some individual and do some fundamentals, but they didn't get as much teamwork.
Was the mental work just as important, though, without the pressure of learning something under having to have it down for a game the next
Yeah, I mean, we got back to basics and, base defense and base offense and, blocking and tackling, throwing and catching, and going out there and just trying to get better fundamentally. You can always work on fundamentals but your individual time shrinks a little bit as the season goes on. We spend a lot of time in individual, a lot of group work, O-line versus D-line, receivers versus DBs, a lot of fundamentals and special teams, and we focused on that. That was our objective, to get healthy, get better fundamentally, and if we're behind academically, to get caught up. Some guys missed practice because they were behind a little bit academically and needed to do some extra work, and the guys were doing good, try to get ahead, academically, because we're going to be on the road this week.
Mike, is that a fine line when you have a bye, when you're having kind of a season that you obviously aren't living up to your expectations? There's a part of you that probably wants to practice them to death to fix everything that's going wrong. At the same time, they need the rest. They need to catch up academically. Kind of how do you balance that in your mind?
Well, first of all, the season isn't over. We got 5 games left, and I feel confident that we're going to perform well in those 5 games. The second thing is, every day we go to work, whether we got a game or not, is to get better. You've got to be smart as a coach too, though. If a guy's, running 13,000 yards in a game and took 76 snaps, then we need to back off a little bit because of injuries. Case in point, Bombeck took every snap on defense. Dante Wright's a freshman, has been getting a lot of snaps. Warren Jackson is a guy that missed 2 games, but he's a valuable part of our offense. So he did, fundamentals and individual and one-on-one and Skelly, but didn't do the teamwork. So you're always playing with that week to week of how much guys can get. I mean, we got all these sophisticated monitors that they wear and tell you how much they run and when their peak performance is. So I try to listen to science a little bit week to week, and then sometimes you go off your gut instinct of a guy needs a blow.
In that vein, you've been thin at receiver. You held out Warren and Dante a little bit. Did you find some people that can help out in that regard?
Well, we got EJ back, off his 2-game suspension, and he had fresh legs and looked good out there and did some good things for us. I thought Ty McCullough had a good week, and other than that, we got some young guys that need some developing.
How'd you see Patrick improve fundamentally over the weekend?
Yeah, I thought it was a good week to get back. There wasn't a lot of meeting time, going over opponents, so we were able to get out early with the quarterbacks and kind of go back to square one of some of our drops on certain concepts offensively. And then, he didn't take any time off. He getting reps with the one offensive line and, stepping up, trusting the protection, not looking at the rush, going from 1 to 2, getting up in the pocket and running. So I thought it was a good week for him. I thought he had a really, really good week. We got to see, he's got to have a good week this week. We all do. We got to improve. We didn't practice Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. So today will be a little bit more like a Tuesday. It'll be longer than the normal Monday, because we're ahead on Fresno and the game plan's basically in. So we'll do some installing today, and, we'll basically have either 2 Tuesdays or, a Tuesday/Wednesday and a Wednesday getting ready. So we'll have a chance to get more work, but last week was about fundamentals. End of the day, it's taking the right steps, blocking the right guy, your feet and your eyes, being on balance, and working on those things in all positions.
With how the schedule kind of rotates like this, and do these games almost feel sort of in some ways like non-conference games, just because it's been so long since you've seen this team? It's kind of new.
Well, that is a good point. None of these. I don't think. Trying to think if any of these guys were on that team when we went to Fresno. There's probably a couple that were on the team, like Jeff Taylor and those guys. But it's a team that we watch on film quite a bit. We're offensively, because they do some things similar to us. Defensively, they go from a 3 down to a 4 down. So our players watch them, and I hope they're watching them when they're playing on TV. I know, I am, because they're in our conference and playing like opponents. So, even though it's, on the road and they're on the other side, I feel like we're familiar with them because, there's guys on this team that we recruited. They're playing against people we recruited and we play. So you have a better understanding of skill set, even though you hadn't played them in a few years.
You said you gave a lot of extra, some of those younger guys, maybe guys that are running with the threes, got a little more work this week. Anybody in that group really stand out that where you just kind of, you or the staff went, boy, this is somebody maybe we need to reconsider and work into our plans? Or not?
I thought Christian Hunter and Jalen Thomas had a good week, the 2 running backs that are probably co-3s. I thought Griffin Hammer had a good week, which he got a lot of reps with Cam not being able to go and being in the red jersey. And, he's been on and off in his career here because of injuries, and he's going to have to step up and play his role. That's probably it, offensively of guys. Defensively, guys like Muhammad Kamar got in there and got some things that, Rushton Roberts showed some things. Defensively, got a lot of reps. Kevin Bailey, he's listed here as a 3 on this thing, but he plays a lot. And those are probably, the guys. Hawkins had a good week. Anthony Hawkins had a good week, and, his playing time has dropped significantly when he got moved down, but he's still practicing hard. I thought he had a good week this week. Kicker situation's still up in the air. We're still in competition right now. We'll have a decision probably going into after our Wednesday's practice. We'll have 3 days of competition there.
You talked a lot in camp about how you felt like the team was more bonded together, like they were more prepared for maybe tough situations. Is that something that you still feel is true, and are they still buying into the message?
No question. I think you just look at the way they played last week. They went on the road and won a game. And anytime you go on the road, it's tough to win in this conference. This is a tough conference. It's got good football teams and found a way to win that game and played extremely hard, practiced extremely hard last week. And I think they all feel confident that if we do the right things and we stay disciplined and trying to get better, we'll have a chance to compete in all these games. And at the end of the day, we got to go out there and do it on Friday or Saturday or whatever day of the week that we play. I don't sense anything on this team different from when I started the season. Obviously we're 2-5, but that doesn't affect how we work and what we go about our business. We got 5 more opportunities, and the next one's Fresno.
What can you take from their blowout loss at Air Force?
Well, anytime you play Air Force, they give people problems, and they had an excellent first half in that game, and then Air Force just, they kept the ball away from them in the second half, and it wasn't really the triple. I haven't watched much of Air Force's offense against them. I remember we were sitting at home watching it, and it was a lot of, zone dive to the fullback. It wasn't even triple. They just came off the ball. And said, we're going to be happy with 4 and 5 yards. And that can get frustrating, on the other side of the ball. It get frustrating as a defense when you're playing pretty good, but it's 3, 4, 5 yards every time. And then offensively, you don't get the ball back. Sometimes you do things out of character of trying to score too fast and get out of your regular game plan. And I've been there. But Air Force was physical with them. Air Force, said in the second half, we're going to run the ball, which they always do, and played keep away. There's really not anything that we can get offensively from them because, they play a different defense when you really can't use an option team because, they've got a different scheme when they go into that game defensively. So it's tough to do, and our defense is not like Air Force's of what they do. So that game was, we buzzed through it, but it's not something that we use.
Anything else? No, thanks, Coach.
All right, thanks.